Is sticking to your diet a struggle and you can't find any healthy recipes to make because you don't have any clean food? What if I told you that you don't have to spend every last penny on organic, grass-fed, wild-caught, and cage-free options? Instead, you can save your money on cheap, convenient options that will also save you time. So stay tuned to the end to learn how to save time and money while being on a diet. Our first convenient, cheap option is beans. Beans tend to be $2 per can and are a great source of fiber and protein. They are also a great source of carbohydrates if you're trying to get rid of refined carbohydrates. They include a variety of different kinds of beans between pinto, black bean, kidney, and cannellini. When picking beans and looking at the variety of beans, you want to choose brands that don't tend to add added sugars. Some off-brands and cheap versions of beans tend to add added sugars and certain dyes. If you're trying to lose weight, this is just a way to increase the health aspect when choosing healthy options. But when it comes to sugars, this is a must because when we add more sugar into our diet, we tend to get very inflamed either in our skin or in our body because we're stressing our body out, and so it's imbalancing our hormones. It's also kind of dangerous when we overconsume too much sugar, and adding more sugar into our diet is only going to cause us to gain weight, eat more calories because we're going to have an addiction. This addiction is caused by our reward system. The more sugar that we eat, the more our reward system in our brain goes off and sends dopamine into our body. So that's just something to look out for when looking at beans. Some other benefits of adding beans into your diet is that you don't have to necessarily cook them if you get the canned version. And while beans are a great, healthy, cheap option that saves you time and money, our next food is rice. Rice typically tends to be $2 to $3 per can depending on what type of rice that you want. Rice pouches are very convenient when you're trying to save more time since the pouch version only takes about 90 seconds to cook in the microwave. So you don't have to necessarily cook it on the stove like with regular rice. You can pop it in the microwave, it's ready to eat. I also think it's very important to point out the variety just to give you some options on some things that you might enjoy. Some options of a variety of rice that you can choose from are white, brown, wild grain, mixed, jasmine, and cilantro. Adding that extra source of variety gives us a better reason to have more versions of rice because we'll never get tired of just having one version like white or brown. Our third food that we're going to be talking about is oats. For a typical 42-ounce canister of oats, it usually costs around $4.18 depending on what type of oats that you're looking for. Fashioned or instant, both ways are great to help you get in the right source of carbohydrates. Oats are a great source of fiber and they're a great way to start out the day for breakfast. You can put some nut butter or some fruit and add that extra source of protein and micronutrients through the fruit. It's also something that can actually taste good too because there's a variety of different flavors, although we are talking about the canister, but you can mix it up in any way that feels pleasing to you. Please just understand that certain foods tend to be more calorically dense, especially if you're adding things like nut butters. So when it comes to fats, just choose the fat that's going to work for you and the fats that are typically low calorie but have a higher intake of fat. So if nut butter doesn't work for you and it's too calorically dense, moving on to our fourth convenient, cheap option for healthy foods, and that is salmon. Salmon's high in protein and omega-3s, which are a type of fatty acid, so they're great, like what I was just saying before about having a low-calorie option with a higher fat intake so that you don't have to risk the chance of gaining weight. And salmon typically tends to be around 98 cents to $2 depending on the cans or the pouches. So you really can save a lot of money with just buying those cans. Like you can get a few cans for a few dollars, and then that typically is enough to satisfy you. Salmon's a great thing to add to your meals or your snacks, or something that you can eat on the way to work. Truly, the options are endless when it comes to salmon. It can literally just be eaten on its own. And if you're preparing a meal or a snack, it takes like a minute. So you're saving a lot of time and you're meeting all of your macro needs. Our last food that is convenient, saves us time, and saves us money, we're going to talk about canned veg and fruit. Canned veg and fruit has the most variety by far compared to all the other foods that we've been talking about, because there is a variety of different vegetables and fruits that you can choose from. Peas, green beans, corn, chickpeas, carrots, spinach. Whatever you're looking for, it's pretty much there on the shelf. Canned fruit tends to have a smaller variety with peaches, pears, and mixed fruits, but they're still a great option if you're trying to lose weight. Just make sure that you get the no sugar version, because a lot of these products that these companies sell usually use some type of syrup solids so that they can be preserved. So heavy, light syrups are still syrups with sugar, and we need to make sure that we're going for the no sugar version. For pricing with canned vegetables and fruits, this typically costs around $1 per can. Of course, depending on brand, off-brand, and what type of fruit that you are buying. Another benefit is, again, you don't have to cook anything. They come straight from the can, ready, preserved, and you can eat them whenever. Fruit has a great source of fiber, just like canned veg, and they provide a lot of nutrients, and they can sit on your shelf or your cupboard for a extended period of time. Which is why if you live in an area with a lot of natural disasters, this can be a great way to stock up your kitchen with food that lasts, so that you never worry about not having enough food. So if you're trapped inside your house for a few days, just like with what's happening with a snowstorm in our area, this is a great way to stock up to make sure that you have enough food prepped for yourself and your family. It also just keeps you on track if you have goals that you're trying to make. Doesn't set you back. These 5 foods will maximize results because of their fiber, protein, and healthy fat to keep you full for hours. Remember, you can do all this while saving lots of money and time, making you stress-free. If you want to learn how to maximize overall results and weight loss, I recommend to take a look at my video on how to stay locked in all year to get a better understanding of nutrition, exercise, stress, mindset, etc.